Well, good Monday evening. I know it's not Sunday morning. Things came up yesterday that we couldn't make it, but we're here. It's trade deadline talk. It's been a busy day so far. Boys, another special Monday night show, and this is a big one for us tonight.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been talking all day. It's this mouse is really starting to piss me off. Talking all day about this trade deadlines tomorrow. Deals have already. I think we finally waited to see what's going to happen, like the build up and everything, and dominoes are finally starting to fall. And I think we caught it at the right point. I mean, we've got a bunch to break down.
Yeah, till tomorrow evening, it's going to be a lot of stuff going down for sure. None of the big, a lot of unexpected things happen. I'm sure we'll touch on all those. A lot of the big chips people have been waiting to fall haven't fallen yet. But, I think regardless of whether that happens or not, there's going to be a lot of action.
Yeah. Before we came on the show, we're going to touch on a couple of things here. We had some news break, mostly out of our division of the NL East. Let's get into the big thing. Austin Riley, third baseman for the Braves, 10-year contract extension, $212 million. They locked him down. They're not making the same mistake that they made with Freddie Freeman. They don't want to lose out on Austin Riley.
You mean they didn't lie? You mean his agent didn't lie to him?
Yeah. Huge for the Braves. Sucks for all of us Phillies fans, but huge move for the Braves. Austin Riley, 10 years, $212 million. That's solid. That's a solid extension.
A payday. And how old is he even?
He's going to be signed until he's 35. So, and they bought up the last 3 years of his contract for arbitration. So,
that's a good deal then, because any power hitting third baseman, especially when it comes to arbitration time.
Yeah, I mean
he's 25 right now, so.
I mean, in the market we're in, that seems like a pretty fair deal on both sides, I'd say. I don't think they necessarily overpaid, but they got him early, so they avoided getting into a Soto-like,
done.
Quagmire, not to jump the gun a little bit, but I mean, I think I don't like the Braves. I'm not going to pretend I like the Braves, but I think organizationally, it's a fair move. Anytime you lock a guy up early like that, there's a little bit of risk to it, right? The Phillies found out with Kingery, right, when they tried to lock him up early and tried to underpay him what they expected the market value to be, and then it came around to not even being a major leaguer at all. So I mean, it's always going to be a risk on both sides, but it seems to be pretty fair on either side.
Yeah, and third base is such a tough position in baseball to find a solid third baseman to play. The fact that they got a guy in Austin Riley, I believe he does have at least one Gold Glove right now. I think he got it last year. I could be wrong.
Let me look.
I could be wrong.
Batting, postseason batting, standard fielding.
Either way, to lock down a solid bat and a solid fielder for the Braves is definitely huge for them.
He's won a Silver Slugger the last 4 years. So.
All right, so that's what I said. I could be wrong. I thought he might have had a Gold Glove in there, but either way, kudos to the Braves. Congratulations to Austin Riley. Heck of a payday for him, and sucks that we got to deal with him for 10 more years.
Well, not likely, but he could be Kingery 2.0. I doubt it, but
no chance.
One can hope.
I mean, if anything, it's going to be another decades-long reign of Chipper Jones-esque punishment.
It's going to seem like we're staying in our division for a little bit here, folks. We're in the NL East. We apologize, but there's been a lot of big news out of the NL East alone today. Bryce Harper announcing today, or they announced today, Bryce Harper got the pins out of his finger or thumb. He's going to ramp up his rehab, and he might be back sooner than what we think. So,
hell yeah, MV3 baby.
That will be a huge addition for the Phillies. Whether he comes back and just DHs or he actually plays the field, we don't know. But I assume he'll just be DH.
I think just DH and play it safe.
Yeah,
but I mean, for how crazy it is. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen here. This mouse is absolutely freaking horrible. With the way that Philadelphia's been staying in contention without their biggest bat in the lineup and without their star guy, and Bohm just coming off of a July for the ages, and Castianos, maybe it's the Pittsburgh effect, but starting to do a little bit. So I mean, if you can just step it up some, have Schwarber keep doing what Schwarber does, and
it's the
maybe add a pitcher. It could be the Jim effect.
It's the Jim Salisbury effect, man. He had to get under his skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, I'm gonna throw it out there. We all know this, but so everybody knows in the world, Familia is the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball by far. Like he should never throw another pitch in the major leagues for the Phillies, as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
he can go back to the Mets. That'd be cool.
Yeah, well, $10 million, another fantastic overpay for a bullpen arm who is garbage. David Robertson, I mean, I shouldn't say at least, he was injured, right? There's an excuse for that. But Familia is just like downright awful. Yeah. Awful. And I mean, Rob Tom, as much as we like what he's doing in a lot of ways, I don't know how you keep using the guy or why you keep using the guy. Like, he's not going to see his way out of it.
I think in the last one, it was more of a just get him, back into the swing of things. Maybe it's just like a mental block, but we're beyond that at this point. Well, that's 2 blowout games he's almost blow.
We discussed this earlier, though. This comes down to the fact that we got Coonrod, who's supposed to be coming back here soon. I don't know the exact timetable or talking about him coming back. That's a solid bullpen guy. I know Tim's sold on Appel. I'm going to call him Apple. Because we don't really know much about him. It's like an apple. He fell from the tree, and here he is. He's showing that he's capable of being a bullpen guy, but we don't know. And we also don't know what's going to happen here come the trade deadline. They're talking about the Phillies getting another starter. Could we see maybe Bailey Falter move to the bullpen? I think he'd make a great bullpen guy. Could we see Ranger go back to the bullpen? We don't know. I know, John, you're shaking your head, but I mean, there's things that are going to factor in, depending on who they get as a starter. It all depends on if or they would get a starter, how healthy Eflin is. There's factors. So I don't think we're going to see anything with Familia anytime soon until we see what happens at the trade deadline being tomorrow. I believe at 6 p.m. is when the actual
breaking trade.
Breaking trade.
No big names, but the Royals are trading Emmanuel Rivera, third baseman, to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for Luke Weaver.
Luke Weaver is, I wouldn't say
he's part of he's not the big name, but he's the same Weaver as the Weaver brothers.
Yeah, and
Jared and
he's had a solid career as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good back end guy.
Yep, solid number 4, number 5 if need be in a pinch.
So that is a breaking trade, and we can credit Rosenthal retweeted Alec Lewis.
Yep.
So trade rumors is,
I see it here.
Reports John Gambardo of 98.7 FM radio in Phoenix.
Oh, so there you go.
There's one on the show. We've probably got a few more to break, but
I mean, so I'll piggyback off of what Trey said, if you don't mind. For what he's saying, I think it's definitely stands to reason that the Phillies are shopping for a starter, because it's been out there that they're not shopping for a bullpen. They're not trying to get another arm in the bullpen. So you got to think they're probably going to go for, a 5 starter and then somebody in the rotation now, likely Falter. I don't think Rangers pitched well enough to stay in the rotation. I do not want to take him out.
I agree.
But I think you're probably right. Falter would probably go to the bullpen. He's, a good long reliever. He's not a great starter. He's had his spurts, but he's probably better served coming out of the pen.
And we kind of discussed that earlier. I mean, Falter he can give you a solid 3 innings, one time through the lineup, start of the second time through the lineup before he starts to, I hate to use his last name, before he starts to falter a little bit in the game. His last outing, he did pretty well, but the trade deadline was going to be big for everybody. And we won't know till anything to happen until, and we're going to get into this topic right now, because this is the big piece, is the whole Juan Soto deal. And right now we're seeing guys get traded. There's some surprises. We're going to get into that. A lot of guys are waiting to bank on, is Juan Soto going or is he staying? And we've had this discussion. We've been talking about it all day. I'm going to throw it to Tim, because Tim and I were on the same page earlier. Now we're not.
So
John and I are on the same page.
I am the dissenting opinion. If we're going to go this Supreme Court style, I would present the dissenting argument of Juan Soto is still going to get dealt. I believe the breakdown of communication between the Nationals and Juan Soto's group, Scott Boras, whoever you want to have it be. I think the Nationals screwed up. They're 2 for 2 now on outfielders who are franchise altering, and they couldn't lock either one up long term. I think their constant trying to save money here and there kind of ticked them off. Juan Soto wanted to get paid. Nationals didn't want to pay him. Juan Soto's camp is looking to get more of a Max Scherzer type deal where it's probably 3, 4, 5 years and get paid $35+ million a year. Washington didn't want to do it. They wanted to go longer and defer money after the contract. So I think Washington just doing business the way they do business is enough for Juan Soto to say, screw it, I'm out of here. I don't want to be here. And we're coming up on the deadline. We still got time left, but there's a couple suitors out there. I think somebody pulls the trigger.
Well, John and I are on the same page. I'm going to give it to John. The only reason why I said that we're waiting to see what Soto does is because a lot of teams are putting all their chips in for Soto. If he stays, those chips could get traded for other assets. So, John, I'm going to give it to you. Why is he staying in Washington?
I think it's similar to the Kevin Durant situation. If I want to, take it to basketball like I do sometimes, right? Who has the leverage in that situation, right? I mean, the Nationals are going to want back a king's ransom, and they should for a generational talent like that.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a chance it happens, but I don't think it's a high chance. I think, just like the Nets are asking for a king's ransom for Durant, and they're content to sit back and be like, listen, we got you under contract for 4 more years. Soto can't. He's not going to be a free agent right away. So, I mean, they have enough control.
White Sox have traded catcher Reese McGuire to the Red Sox per source. Supposed to only retweeting.
Okay. Well,
I mean, so anyways, I don't think Soto has the leverage to force himself out. And the Nationals will say, I'll get back what I want to. And if I can get back what I want to, then fine, we'll let you go. But, if not, suck it up and play some more. And, so I mean, maybe somebody will be desperate and it'll come down to it. It'll happen very close to the deadline where somebody's like, you know what, I'm just doing it. I'm just pulling the trigger and it's there. We talked a little bit about Heyman's article in the Post a week or two ago about how Soto's like a once every 30-year player, right? And there's something to be said for that, for sure. But I mean, you gotta have to give up a ton for him.
Yeah, White Sox are acquiring Jake Diekman from the Red Sox.
Diekman.
Former Philly.
So my thing is like I'm with John here on this one. That the asking price is really high, but it's down to 3 teams. I think the only team that would make the run for him at this point is the Padres. If the Padres don't make the move for him, he's not going to get moved. We talked about it, though. If Soto leaves, Victor Robles will not be far behind him because why would you want to stay in that organization? They gave up everything and everybody. Since you've been there, it's not worth sticking around. My problem with this whole is Soto staying or is he going situation is everybody is banking on him being traded before they pull the trigger on any sort of big trade. And they shouldn't wait on that moment. I understand the Nationals are going to want a king's ransom for him. They want like 5 top prospects. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Nobody is willing to give up that many top prospects. The Phillies don't even have 5 prospects they could be willing.
Phillies don't have 5 prospects of value.
Right. So anybody who is sitting here waiting on the fact that Soto is going to possibly be traded, I think they're waiting too long. If I am a team that is in desperate need, like I'll just use Philly for example, they really need a defensive center fielder. We've talked about it, who we've wanted to see them go to, and we're going to get into a little bit more of that conversation later. I've said about Brian Reynolds, the Pirates are not willing to really give him up.
You think it's good? Like you say, Soto's going to command an entire farm system. The Pirates want an entire farm system for Reynolds.
Right. If you're a team like the Phillies who are contending, who've been rebuilding, you want a guy who's not going to be a rental if you're going to put your chips into the hat for a certain player. Everybody waiting for Soto to get off the board they're waiting too long, and I'm sorry, but you got to pull the trigger now. We've had a lot of good trades today. Some trades have shocked all of us. One is shocking, but it makes sense why they did it.
I think Soto goes. I'm gonna stay with it. I think San Diego is gonna. I think San Diego's gonna jump on it. What's up, John?
One more thing to add. You go ahead, Tim. Not me to cut you off. It's nothing.
Nah, it's just more or less me stating the fact that I think Soto is going to be a Padre before tomorrow.
I wanted to piggyback off what Matt said a little bit in regards to people out there that are not necessarily. We're not hot names coming in. I'm seeing things that Jock Peterson's available.
Yep, and Rodon.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Giants are selling.
I mean, those are some of the pieces where you're not necessarily getting back anything that's going to be a generational talent like you would for Soto, but there's plenty of teams who could use somebody like that who have chips that they could part with to get him.
And so especially with guys like, especially with Peterson and Rodon too. I mean, like you said, it's not going to be give us your top 3 of your top 5. Give us 2 of the 3. It's more like of your top 15, give us like somewhere between 15 and 8.
Yeah.
Give us one of those guys.
Well, let's get into it. At the bottom, you see some of the trades that have happened so far. Some have been over the last couple of days. Some have been today. Trade deadline. That's what we're here for. Discuss the trade deadline. The biggest trade of the day so far: Josh Hader and Taylor Rogers swapping teams. Hader is the number 1 closer right now in baseball. Taylor Rogers, number 2 closer. Hader to the Padres, Rogers to the Brewers. This is a money move for the Padres because Hader's going to want $15 million per. When his contract's up, they can't afford it. Let's just go after the number 2 guy. We'll switch him. Rogers used to play for us. It's going to be a closer by committee for the end of the year. But what about the San Diego Padres going after Josh Hader? That team is starting to make a push to try and compete with the Dodgers. Whether they can compete with them, who knows? We don't know. It's the Padres.
And another reason why I think the Padres are going to be all in on the Soto camp is because to get Josh Hader, they did not give up their A guys. They gave up like maybe I'm not talking level like A, AA, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking in terms of how you rank them, and they gave up like 3 or 4 names outside of Rogers, I believe, but none of them were their, top 5 guys. They still have those guys to deal for Soto. So I think they're going to get Hader. Well, they already got Hader. They got Hader. They're going to sign to him for like a 2-3 year deal extension. And then they're going to go get Soto and do the 3-year, 4-year, here's all the money in the world type of signing. They're going to go for that ultimate win now move.
So, John, my question to you, because I know there's been a lot going on over the last, I'll say, 7 hours since noon today. We even go the last couple of days with the Castillo trade to the Mariners. Has anything surprised you so far with how early the trade deadline has started with a guy like Hader to the Padres or even the Mancini to the Astros? Teams that are contending are getting stronger and stronger. So what is there anything that has surprised you so far with how the trade deadline has gone?
So I think to break some down individually, yes, to a certain extent, right? I mean, nobody really saw that the Padres and the Brewers coming through. We definitely saw Mancini. He's been on the block for a while now. I mean, I'll go with that one. I'm going to take that one back to a sentimental standpoint, almost like an Oscar Lindblom for us Flyers fans out there, right? As an Orioles fan, man, your organization, dude, you get a guy like that who has a story like he has, came back and just went on a tear, and you get rid of him. I mean, I get it, but it's, man, organizationally, the Orioles just like, what are they doing? I don't know. You
just got you just got back to 500.
I know. You want to give that,
and they're in a wild card hunt.
You want to give like your fan base something, and they deserve it for what they've gone through, But I think from a bigger picture standpoint, I expect to see a lot more teams be a lot more aggressive from the expanded playoffs because, I mean, anybody who's within like 10 games of the wild card probably feels like they're in the hunt, and they probably feel like they're a couple pieces away from doing something big, right? And so, I'm not surprised to see these moves happen, and I think it's only going to get that much crazier between now and the deadline for a lot of these teams. There's far fewer sellers and a lot more buyers, right? I would say with the way the playoffs are these days. But
okay, so
that's a good point. I do think a lot of people are buyers.
Yeah. On your comment on that, I'm going to piggy this to both of you. I want to touch on it a little bit. Is there a contender right now that you can see being the biggest buyer for that final push for the World Series? Tim, I'll start with you.
Are we talking like contender, like on the outside looking in, or are they just solidified more?
I'm talking. It can be anybody. So let's the wide range here. You can talk about. The Yankees have been buyers so far. The Stros have been buyers so far. The Mariners have been buyers so far. But we can't count out guys like the Braves, the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Padres. I'll even throw one in there with Toronto or Tampa Bay. I mean, they're all bought right. They're all in contention for a playoff spot. You make the playoffs, you have a chance. So, of your teams that are potential playoff teams, who do you think is going to be the biggest buyer to make that final push to be able to compete for that World Series at the end of the year?
Well, I mean, if Soto ends up in San Diego, I think it's game over. San Diego's doing that ultimate win now move. Seattle just getting Luis Castillo is big, and it sucks that Rodriguez went on to the IL just the other day, so that's a big miss for them. The obvious win now move is what the Yankees have done, up getting pitching, getting relievers, and just doing Yankee things, what Yankees used to do, just go get everybody. And they're still doing it. Now, the only thing I think the Yankees have left to do is ship off Joey Gallo.
Okay, but just pick one team, Tim.
I can't. I cannot do that. I have to pick multiple. Seattle.
Okay. So you think Seattle right now is the biggest buyer to make that final put? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Seattle making that move for Castillo boosts them, and sucks that Rodriguez is on the DL right now, on the 10-day injured list. They're there. I mean, they're a couple pieces away. If they buy those couple pieces, we don't know. But if they become a big buyer, I'm with you, John. What about you? Who do you think right now, if you had to pick a team, is going to be the biggest buyer to make that push?
So I think if the Padres get Soto, it's obviously the Padres.
Right.
I think that Tim's right, and I think that the Yankees see their window. And this is also going back to the Heyman article, and I don't know why I keep going back to that one, but I thought it was interesting. He talks about how the Yankees really haven't been in on a lot of the big-name free agents recently, which is unlike them because the evil empire wants to go out and just spend you to oblivion. And this is one time where they have the capability maybe to try and get somebody like Soto. I don't know. But then the Dodgers, too, if the Dodgers are in on Soto, which they seem to be, I don't know. It's I'm with Tim. It's hard to say exactly, but I'd say probably with the move today, Padres, if I had to pick one.
So if I were to choose, you're going to think I'm crazy for this, considering they're leading their division, but my explanation will be outstanding for you to understand. The biggest buyer right now is the New York Yankees. The biggest buyer is going to be the New York Yankees, no matter what the Padres do, whether they get Soto or not. And here's my reasoning why to this. Who has been the Yankees' kryptonite so far this year?
Superman.
The Houston Astros. The Houston Astros have been the team that they cannot get past. They have not been able to get past them in the playoffs the last couple of years. The push that they're making to solidify a little bit more in the outfield with Benintendi and a little bit better with their pitching. That might be enough for them to get over that little bit of a hump to get past the Astros. I know it sounds crazy. They're the two teams that none of us want to root for.
And I think that Benintendi deal sealed the deal for Gallo.
100%. But, I mean, if we're talking pure buyers to be contenders, to make that push, the Yankees are that team. They've been so they're close. They're on that brink, and I hate to admit that because they're leading their division. They're probably the best team. I mean, I think they're the second best team in the American League behind the Astros. The records don't show it. But they were a couple pieces away of making that push. I think they've made enough effort right now to make that push to overcome what the Astros have done against them. And I know it sounds so crazy, but it's just Houston's that team that they're tough. They're going all out. The Mancini The Mancini trade is like it's huge for them. I think that really boosters their lineup, boosters their bats, their defense, all of it. It helps them out. But the Yankees are just making enough of an effort of buying who they can and to make that push to just be a little bit better than the Astros, get past them in the playoffs. And that's a scary thought because the Yankees have been good all year so far.
And with the Yankees, too, they added all these guys and they didn't give up a single one of their top 4 prospects.
Right. So,
meaning, is there a chance they get Soto or go after him aggressively?
No,
there's no room.
With them getting Benintendi, there's absolutely no way. Now, their big thing right now is the fact that are they going to be able to re-sign Aaron Judge at the end of the year because there's been nothing agreed upon yet. Could we see Soto possibly go as a free agent to New York?
What, in 2 years?
Crazier things have happened. If they don't think they have a chance at getting Judge, don't you think they throw some prospects, a really strong package? It's like they have some decent prospects out there to try and land Soto now, then wait till later. I don't know. I mean, I think it all comes down to how close the Judge thing is, and how far apart they are, and how much confidence they have that they're going to be able to pull it
Aaron
off.
Judge is not going to leave New York.
I don't think so either. But I don't. You know what the Yankees mentality is.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But they're again, if the opportunity's there to bring in somebody over Aaron Judge, I mean, Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. He is what he is.
So if you have to pick, you have one player to pick to build your franchise around. You're telling me you're taking Juan Soto over Aaron Judge?
Yes.
100%.
I think you're fools.
I think the injury potential alone for a guy as big as Judge is going to be a lot more scary down the road than Soto.
But how many more years are you going to be able to have a Judge being that power guy?
Yeah.
Like his decline is coming. It's got to be there.
What decline? I mean, he's gone up every single year. He's hit 40 home runs this year. He's been All-Star multiple years. He's been MVP finalist how many times here? He might actually have a Gold Glove. I'm not even sure.
Well, but I'm just saying.
Multiple Silver Sluggers.
Right now, he's 30. Okay.
And Soto's 23, and Ryan Howard was great until he wasn't too.
And Ryan Howard also tore his Achilles on his back push leg when he lost all his power. We've been over this 1,000 times.
Okay,
but that could happen. I mean, it's when you have a power guy like that, like that's the kind of stuff that happens.
But the thing is,
so if you have a 30-year-old or a 23, go ahead.
But with Judge, his swing isn't that big, vicious swing. Judge is a contact guy. He's got the advantage of Yankee Stadium going to right field. Judge is a gap-to-gap power hitter, but he's not a home run or bust only type of swing for the fence guy.
You break it down for me. I mean, you give me 30-year-old big who's not a okay. We can start to cut down on the nitpick here and there. Okay, Judge is he's not the biggest power guy out there, but he's a pretty big power guy at 30. A big dude, lug of a guy, 6'7" or whatever he is. Soto a lot smaller. I'm taking Soto every day. Every day.
Okay, so my question for you for the years and the money that is potential between the two of them. You're talking about a guy who is 30 years old right now, and Aaron Judge, not a terrible player currently. He's a really good baseball player. We all are in agreement on that. Are you willing to give him a massive contract?
Yeah.
Over Juan Soto, who's 23, who you can literally build and have it for the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I'll take Judge.
Oh, my God. Okay. I mean, kudos for standing by with your opinion on that. Like, that's why we have opinions. Everybody, we don't have to agree on everything, but if I'm building a franchise and the opportunity is there for Soto over Judge, I'm taking Soto 100%.
I mean, if you make a poll outside of Yankees fans, I think there's very few people who would agree with that side of the fence, especially after we saw what happened with Howard. And I know you're going to come back to, he had this injury, he had that injury, fine, whatever. But you look at paying a guy for what he's done, not what he's going to do. And when you're 30 or over, I don't know. It's much riskier than taking the 23-year-old.
When you hit that 30 mark in baseball, you got to hit that decline at some point. Not everybody can be a
different era. I mean, it's a different era though that we're in. Guys take care of their bodies better. I mean, everybody thought Tom Brady was going to go down after he was, 65.
Tom Brady also doesn't get hit.
Tom Brady does Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge will get hit.
Neither did Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard ran.
I mean, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it usually rhymes, right? I mean, so there's some difference, right? But if you're just looking strictly from, you got a 30-year-old, you got a 23-year-old, who's got more longevity? The big hulking 30-year-old or the much smaller 23-year-old? I think it's nearly impossible to make an argument that you're not going to, from a purely longevity and health standpoint, that you wouldn't take Soto over Judge.
No, we weren't talking longevity. We were talking just, we
were talking about massive deals.
Yeah, but if you're talking about a
longevity
guy, you're going to pay.
I think longevity.
I'm paying for what you're going to do, not what you did.
So what we're going to do? So Judge last 2 years has upped his batting average and he's upped his home run total last 2 years in a row. And you guys are talking about a possible decline. Yeah, he's 30. So what? He's been in the bigs. Let me take a look here. He was a Rookie of the Year in 2017. So we're talking just over 7 years-ish. And let me go back here.
17 and now it's the 5th year, right?
Whatever, I don't math.
I think he's still technically on his rookie contract.
He is. That's why they're looking to get a new deal for him right now.
Yeah, so 2017 is his rookie year, win Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, second in MVP, All-Star. Next year, All-Star, MVP, 12th.
Okay,
and then he's got a couple years there where he's down and the injury bug bit him. Last year, All-Star, 4th in MVP, Silver Slugger, club, 39 home runs, almost 100 RBI, hitting 287. This year so far, he's got 42, 91, and he's hitting almost 300.
Okay, so breezing over the injury bug, and he didn't do much these seasons, and we're talking about things he already did, and he's already 30, right? So the whole
and the things that he's currently doing.
Sure, that's fine. I understand that, but I mean, and I'm not saying Judge is bad. I mean, I'd re-sign him if I was them too. But given the binary choice of all things similar, Soto versus Judge, I'm taking Soto, right? Yeah. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not saying not to re-sign Judge. If the Yankees re-sign Judge and roll with him, that's fine. That's no big deal. It's just a matter of what makes more logical sense.
If the opportunity's there to get Soto and without having to bring Judge back because he can't re-sign or he doesn't want to re-sign or whatever, Soto is a valuable option to be your franchise guy for the next 10, 15 years. There's no denying that Judge is a very capable franchise player, no matter where he goes.
Yeah,
even if it's in New York, kudos. He is a really good baseball player. He's a good franchise player. He's good for the franchise. He's good for the fans. He's good for everybody. But if the opportunity is there to bring Soto in to be his replacement, why would you not want to do that? Especially when you're going to get a few more years out of him now than Judge. I mean, when I say a decline, Tim, right now he's 30. Not everybody's Jamie Moyer who can pitch into their 40s and be okay and be competitive. Not everybody can play solid baseball, be a solid hitter for 8, 10, 12 years down the road. Once you hit 30, at some point you're going to hit that decline. It is what it is. It's a human thing. We don't. So
when's Bryce Harper going to hit his?
Probably halfway through his contract.
And you're not upset that he's going to be on his decline on the last 2/3 of his contract?
No, because it's expected.
So the same argument being, we're expecting a guy to downfall. We're paying Harper for what he's done with the Nationals.
No, one
MVP that he won there.
We're not saying don't sign Judge. We're saying Judge versus Soto from a purely logical standpoint. You have a guy who, just based off of his body type at 23, is probably less likely to have injuries than a 30-year-old who's more of a power hitter who's had some injuries, right? I'm not saying that the Harper deal is bad. I'm not saying a Judge deal would be bad. I'm not against either one. What I'm saying is if you have a binary choice, all things the same, money similar, terms similar, which I think we're assuming in this scenario, I'm taking Soto 100 times out of 100.
I think Soto's deal is going to be a 3 to 4 year deal where it's going to be $40 million a year, whereas Judge it's going to be 10 plus years, and you're going to be looking at 25 to 30 million a year.
Yeah, but see, I wouldn't want to sign Judge now at 10 plus years.
Not to 10 plus years. No way.
I think want to. Judge's contract right now, if he gets anything from the Yankees, is going to be 4 years, 5 years at a lot of money.
I think he's going to be closer to 7 to 10.
I mean,
that's what he wants. I don't blame him. That's what I
think that's what he should get.
I don't know, but 10 years is still a lot to give a guy. This comes, and we're not to harp on this contract or whatever, but this is like the Ryan Howard contract. Is it worth putting a 10 years, $250 million, and then one wrong way of getting out of the batter's box, you tear your Achilles and your career is essentially over. I mean, it's a risk you're going to take with every player that you sign. I mean, Harper could come back.
Speaking of injuries, Chris Bryant injury list, 10 days.
Not surprised.
Plantar fasciitis.
But we don't disagree. Like, we all like Judge. We think Judge is a good fit, and if the Yankees re-sign him, kudos. I don't know. John and I both are in agreement. We think Soto would just be the better. If you're looking at long term or wanting to keep somebody long term, Soto's that guy. But
by the way, do you want to feel old? Juan Soto was born in 1998.
Great.
Wow.
What have I done with my life?
I sent you guys a video in the private chat. So we were kind of talking a little bit about.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
About Christian Vasquez, why the Astros would have went after him. Got traded during batting practice and literally walked across the field into the visitors' locker room or into the other locker room and met his new teammates. So Vasquez to the Astros was kind of shocking to me. We were talking about this before the show. Excuse me, and watching the Cubs game the other night or last night or whatever it was they've been talking about. Wilson Contreras is on the trade block. Michael Givens, Ian Happ, they're on a fire sale. The Cubs are trying to get rid of everybody. I am shocked that the Astros are not trying to go after Wilson Contreras. I think Contreras would have been a solid fit for them.
You mean the team that embarrassed the Phillies at home after the All-Star break is so bad they're trying to sell everybody? Yeah, funny how that works. I know.
Yeah. I mean, Wilson Contreras is probably a underrated catcher in the league between his bat and his skill. Obviously, we're all, I want to say biased, but JT Realmuto has proven that he is probably the current best catcher in baseball. Whether he was on the Phillies or not, he is a proven to be top catcher in the league. I think Wilson Contreras is right there with him. He's young. He's got that potential. So whoever gets him, they're going to be getting a solid ball player out of it.
Oh, yeah, but what's his team control like for the next couple of years?
I don't know.
That could be the thing holding us back.
Yeah.
I agree. Or could this also be a thing with the oh my goodness. Why am I drawing a blank? Could this be another thing with the Cubs doing this fire sale of wanting prospects in return for Contreras to make up for it, and nobody's willing to give up what they want?
He's a free agent in 2023, so
2 years, year and a half,
signed through 2022.
Oh, so
end of this year.
End of this year. So he's a rental.
Whoever's going to get him, they're getting him with the intention of probably re-signing him because they don't want to.
Yeah, catchers are pretty hard to come by, especially ones like this.
So whoever trades for him is going to be wanting to re-sign him, but the asking price for him is probably really high, and to get him,
the Cubs are in such a great position to sell, though. Like, you have, if you can find somebody who's going to give you the pieces for Contreras, have somebody give you the pieces for Happ, get a couple low guys or maybe one mid-tier for Robertson, get another mid-tier for Michael Givens. Like, you're talking, you could swing 10 or more players back into your farm system off of 4 guys.
You could.
Yeah. I mean, and we see how important it is, to not leverage your future as Phillies fans when we had the win now mentality and our farm system was decimated for a decade after that.
Well, they also could never draft.
Wait, that too, but I mean, the trades really killed them, in a lot of ways too, right? So it's vital to have a farm system, and if you can replenish that like the Cubs can,
what's kind of funny though
paying you spades for a while. And
what's kind of funny about those Phillies trades is I'm trying to think like the Cliff Lee deal. Who did they give up for that? I think was Gio Gonzalez a part of that and eventually flipped out to.
Was that the one that included Michael Bourne?
No, that was the one to Houston for Brad Lidge.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cliff Lee. I mean, which Phillies trade are we talking? The first one or the second one?
The one to acquire. the one from Cleveland, because going to Seattle,
the Philly sent Carlos Carrasco, Jason Knapp, Jason Donald, and Lou Marson.
Okay, so Carrasco being the guy.
Yeah.
Which
Carrasco was the guy
there for years.
Yeah.
So okay, so they kind of, I'd say Cleveland won that one.
Yes and no. I mean, yes and no.
And then Seattle. Then Philly traded Clee to Seattle to try to replenish, and then all of those guys didn't amount to shit.
So here's my thing: is like this might be me being a little bit biased because I was a Cliff Lee fan. I actually have his jersey that I used to wear all the time. I thought
the 34 or the 33.
The 33.
That's the second time around.
The Cliff Lee trade actually wasn't that bad on paper because that pitching rotation with him, Halladay, and Oswalt should have won a World Series. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a bad trade of what they gave up for him. It's just it was not a long enough thought out trade for like the future down the road because you figure he was there for how many years.
And they also, with Cliff Lee, the end goal was to always get Halladay.
Yeah.
And imagine a world where Philly actually trades Dom Brown 2 years before Cliff Lee.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I mean, I'm just saying that the Cliff Lee trade wasn't as bad as what it could have been.
Yeah, so let me take a look here.
So,
I'm just trying to refresh Twitter, see what else is going on.
I haven't seen anything pop back. So if you guys want to keep talking about the Cliff Lee or just in general,
we'll probably flip it up.
I'll be right back.
What do we got? So we just got the ticker down here going on, and he's taking himself off completely. Holy crap! Do dance. I don't know.
Where does Jock Peterson go? If he goes, does he go, and where does he go?
I think Peterson's going to end up staying.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because unless there's a fallout for Soto, if whoever doesn't get Soto, then somehow your backup option is Jock Peterson.
I mean, there's going to be like consolation prizes for Soto when he doesn't go.
Yeah, I think the Rodon could get interesting. He's only going to be a half-year rental, but he is ace quality stuff right now.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to command like 2 or 3 top guys. It's going to be interesting too for Jose Quintana in Pittsburgh. See what they do for him because he would also be a half-year rental with playoff experience.
Yeah. And the Pirates got to be. I mean, the Pirates are always sellers, dude.
I had to go to the bathroom so bad.
Imagine being those franchises like the Orioles and the Pirates do. No matter what position you're in, no matter like the Orioles, who are seemingly kind of competitive, you're always sellers. You are never.
So the question,
right? Am I right or not?
I mean, the thing with the Orioles is it's kind of pathetic that they were finally starting to gain some steam. They were doing this, and all of a sudden they just take a knife and they punch out all the tires. It's like, yeah, we're going to get rid of.
You have the heartbeat of the organization, who's a phenomenal player,
but he was making $2.5 million in salary, and he was going to be a free agent.
That's just dude.
The Pirates are a train wreck and a half. I mean. We kind of discussed it. I personally, I know they're not going to do it because they don't want to give him up now, but I would have loved to see them go after Brian Reynolds to shore up the outfield, the Phillies, to shore up the outfield a little bit. The Pirates, it's hard to really talk about them and be like positive about them. The one thing that we can say is great is like we sat here and we talked about O'Neal Cruz and look at what he's been doing since he's been up. That's all they have to show for anything that they've done over the last however many years. Look at all the guys that they have given up over the years. They farm these guys, they make it to the big leagues, and then they trade them away because they don't want no part of being part of them being part of the franchise.
If you want to make a Pirates fan really upset, ask him how that Garrett Cole trade turned out.
I mean, Garrett Cole.
There's nobody in the organization left from that trade.
What about Jameson Taillon? That's another trade that they probably are going back and going, why did we do that? Yeah.
Glass now. I mean, you could field an all-star team based off of former Pirates.
It's the business model, man. The business model is not to win; it's to have a profitable team, and it's to pay it's to pay nothing and have the stands barely filled. But if you're if you're fielding a minor league team year in and year out, you'll scrape by and make a little bit of money, and the value of your team will continue to go up no matter how terrible you are, because every team goes up with TV deals. It's
just breaking news. Not like this really matters, but since we were on this topic earlier, Aaron Judge hit another home run tonight.
Oh, wow. Shocker. Was it to right field?
I don't know. I just saw that he hit another home run tonight about a minute ago.
I mean, no one's saying he's not good and a beast. He definitely is.
I mean, he's on pace right now to break Bonds' single season home run record.
Yeah, I know.
You know the meme of the stick figure holding the stick like, come on, do something?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a whole bunch of those right now with the fanatic poking the Phillies sign, telling Dombrowski to
okay, so let's talk about the Phillies real quick. I mean, we can talk about
Judge's home run was not a short shot to right. It was a bomb to left center.
So let's talk about the Phillies here a little bit. Well, we are kind of all in agreement that we want to see another starter and we need another outfielder. So who are you looking at as an outfielder? John, I'll turn to you. Who would you want to see them go for and aim for? Let's take Soto out of the question. It's not going to happen. Soto's out. Let's not even throw his name in here in the discussion of the Phillies. Realistically, who do you think the Phillies could potentially go after?
That's tough. I mean, I think we've talked about it before. Like, we've just been burned by the organization, like giving up the farm too many times, that I do not want them to be overly aggressive. Dombrowski generally is pretty aggressive, but as Tim's pointed out in our chats and stuff, and I think you have too, Matt, to be fair, that he's not usually one to go after somebody that you don't have team control over. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. You guys probably know the names better than I do at this point in time, but you know, I mean, who's a consolation prize for Soto? I don't know. I mean, I like Jock Peterson, man. I do, but you're gonna give up a lot for him, probably too much, probably more than the Phillies should give up. But after the fantasy football
need a center
game,
fielder.
Yeah.
Oh, what if Jock Peterson gets traded to the Red Sox? Since Tommy Pham's there now.
Yeah, I know. I saw a tweet about that as soon as that came through, right? If you know.
Would you be okay? So I was going to bring this up in our group chat, but I figured now it's a good time to ask it. We talked about Brett Phillips being DFA'd by the Tampa Bay Rays because of the moves that they're trying to make. Would you be against the Phillies possibly trying to bring him in?
But who would take his spot then? Are we talking sending Verling back down or
try and dump Odubel? I mean,
okay, yeah.
We are fine with the Double, leave it, but you're not going to get anything back for him.
no, but okay. So let's say they don't get rid of Odubel, but let's say you can use
Phillips could be a backup option.
Let's say you have to go after let's say you go after a starter, and Verling is an option, so you don't have to give up any of the other prospects that are down there. I mean, you could do it. You can make it work. It would suck to see Verling go. I like Verling, but his bat is just not that great.
Nah.
Phillips's bat isn't bad. He's an average hitter. I mean, but his fielding, he has proven that he can be a good fielder. You don't have to be a stud fielder for the Phillies. They prove it. Their defense is garbage, but they need another guy they need another guy because what they have now is just it's not working. I think Phillips could be that guy.
I think as a fallback it could be, but I'd like to see them try to target either Michael A. Taylor from Kansas City.
If you tell me Jackie Bradley Jr., I'm coming to your house. I will smack both of you if you think Jackie Bradley Jr. is the answer.
No, I don't think
he's
the answer.
Good. He's good defense, though. He'll help you when you're lacking.
You just ruined, great. He's got
what
a good defense. What do you have against
Jackie Bradley Jr.?
I have nothing against Jackie Bradley Jr. But if you're gonna go after Jackie Bradley Jr., you're better off keeping Odubel, who has a better bat than what Jackie does. Bradley he's a terrible batter.
But
the only reason why they would consider him.
Or... I mean, yeah. So do you want to shirk your defense? How much are you going to lose at the plate if you go with Bradley over Odubel? Not a lot. What's Odubel give you at the plate right now? Not a lot.
More than what Jackie Bradley Jr. is giving you.
Let's broaden this out a little bit because this is going to be good. I'll sit here. You guys can go at it. Jackie Bradley Jr. hitting, we're already touching on that. Fielding, I think it's no argument.
brainer.
Jackie Bradley. Base running.
Off the field.
Off the field.
You look at it from a risk reward standpoint, man. Like, I've never been a big Adubel guy. Like, I mean, I take it back. Before everything happened off the field, when he was on a tear and they signed him that contract, I liked him for like a season. Okay, so in the beginning, I wasn't a Adubel guy, but then like, what are you getting out of him for like taking on somebody with the background and the baggage that he has? The baggage alone should be enough to, and it's not even a thing where you should be outweighing production versus something like that. He shouldn't be on the team no matter what because of that. But if your decision's to keep a guy on the team, despite that, you ought to be getting something out of the guy, and you're not. I don't think you are, really. I mean, his bat is okay. Jackie Bradley Jr. is hitting 210 right now. Okay, it's not great. What's Adubel hitting?
238.
Okay, my God. All right. Well, like,
it's still better.
A little bit better, but I think you make up for it easily in the field on the base running. I think Tim's probably on that. I'd say at least a little bit.
In terms of a better overall ball player, it's Jackie Bradley Jr. And Trace, if you have anything to say against that, I think you're a fool. You have to admit, as a ball player in general, as a whole, you're telling me you want to take Odubel, Herrera?
No, I would take neither. I would take neither.
Well, sure. Fine.
I would take Michael A. I would go after Michael A. Taylor before I'd go after Jackie Bradley.
So would I. So would I. It depends on what you have to give up to get them.
Are we talking just absolute worst case scenarios, or are we seeing who they really want to truly go after? Because Michael A. Taylor's a good option. I'm thinking I'm going to butcher his last name, but Ramon, what's his last name from
Laureano?
Yeah, that guy. Give me that guy.
Laureano's a solid pick. They would be willing to go after him, but I don't know if they are willing to give up anything to go after him.
No, but the only thing
if you're going for a last-ditch effort like Michael A. Taylor, you know what you're getting for him fielding-wise, but he's also going to give you a little bit better of a bat than what Jackie Bradley and Odubel give you. So,
I'm on the train with you. Okay, Jackie Bradley Jr. I threw it out there because it's a lot of rumor mill about it for the last couple of days. It's been out there. And B, he's somebody that you should, in theory, have to give up very little to get. Now, if you're talking about similar packages for him versus Taylor or even Laureano, or a little bit more for Laureano, obviously, I mean, it goes in that order: Laureano, Taylor, and Bradley. But I don't want to leverage the farm.
This year is also only hitting 226.
So Adubel's better. You might as well stick with Adubel then, right?
But it's Oakland, though.
He's better, but he's better.
Have you seen the cannon on Ramon?
Yeah, but it's Oakland. It's Oakland. Like, I'm sorry.
It's Oakland. He also got suspended 60 games for PEDs. You sure it's just Oakland?
I mean, personally, I'd like to see him go up to like that Kano or whatever his name is from
the Mets.
Yeah, but that's not.
I'm not trading with anybody in division.
No way. And you'll have to give up King's ransom to get something in the division too. So I mean,
so far, Philly's winning the battle between Realmuto and Sanchez, where Sixto hasn't even pitched outside of like 3 games.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
We're already 2-3 years into this deal or into that trade.
Let's be honest. This would not even be a problem if Roman Quinn was still in Philadelphia, guys. He's a Hall of Famer in my book.
Where is he at right now? Wasn't he just cut by Kansas City?
Yeah, he just got signed by like Seattle or Tampa.
Oh, no, Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like if we're talking realistically here, like Michael A. Taylor, you could still get for cheap, and you can have control of him for the future.
Roman Quinn in 19 at-bats. He's hitting 263.
He's better than all the rest of them. Bring him back.
Who? Roman?
Roman Quinn is hitting 263 and only 19 at-bats. But, he scored a run and he's gotten some hits. There's even a double and a triple in there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, me personally, like,
how many times has he struck out though?
Me personally, like, if you're gonna go after somebody that's gonna be in the center field, like Michael A. Taylor's the option at this point. Like,
but do you think he'll be cheap?
Why not?
Do you think He's hitting 278.
I don't think he'll be cheap. They're going to want some guy for him.
Exactly. He's not going to. I mean, I don't think you're going to be comparing the packages for Taylor to what you would get Jackie Bradley Jr. for. I think there's going to be a substantial difference between what you would need to give up to get either player. So I think you have to weigh it from that perspective too.
So Taylor is also a free agent in 24, so he does come with an extra year.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now though, with the Kansas City Royals, that's where he's at.
I think you ship off whoever you can to whoever's going to give you anything.
What with them getting rid of Benintendi, I mean, obviously that hurts them a little bit in the outfield, and Michael A. Taylor is going to come at a cost. They're going to be willing to take pretty much anything. You could almost
Odubel Herrera, straight up.
I won't even say Odubel. What? Maybe this is an opportunity to try and dump Didi.
I mean, I think they try to dump Didi for someone like Syndergaard.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking they're going to use for Didi.
I think the Syndergaard trade, and I was going to kind of touch on that as the Phillies getting Syndergaard. I think they're going to want a prospect or two, not just a player now.
Yeah,
but for a guy like Michael A. Taylor, he's 31. You can get him. He's what you said, 2024, so you can re-sign him for another year or two. That way, your prospects that you're hi-ho and gung-ho on from the outfield finally come through, if they ever come through. Gives them a chance to develop and get up through. Dumping Didi's contract right now is perfect for a trade like that. You don't have to give up any prospects for Taylor, and then you can give up you can't give up Hans Kraus because he's hurt, so. But you could get rid of somebody worthwhile, or I won't say worthwhile, but you could give up something for Syndergaard.
I mean, I don't know. The thing with Syndergaard though is it's all of it's the money for him. I mean, he's owed almost $10 million or something like that.
The Phillies will pay him if they can get rid of the Didi contract, even if it is this moment right now trading Didi for Taylor. They're going to pay Syndergaard. Because Didi's contract is going to come off the books.
What's if I'm the Royals? What's my incentive to take that deal though? I mean, Taylor's making $4.5 million.
The slightest chance of a prospect coming back. Remember, Philadelphia dealt Jonathan Papel douche, and they wound up with Nick Pivetta.
Yeah.
So the low guys can always come and do something.
They can. I don't know. Maybe. It depends on who you throw in and whatnot. All right.
That's the thing, though. Pivetta at the time of the trade was I don't even think he was in Double-A at the time. I think he was a high A. Nothing's ever going to happen with this guy, so let's just be gone with him and see what happens. And then they get lucky or unlucky.
I'm just saying, the option is there. They could realistically get somebody that they could have some sort of control over in the outfield, and then go after a Syndergaard or whatever. I was sold on them going after Jose Quintana from Pittsburgh, but that's a rental, and I wouldn't want to. But I think in agreement though, of kind of what we've been talking about, anybody that the Phillies go after for pitching wise is going to be a rental for a year or two.
Yeah, because you got to watch with Eflin to see if he'll come back at all.
Outfield wise, you're going to want to shore up and make sure the guy that you're trading for is 3-4 years down the road, and then a potential 1-year bridge contract after that. That's why I think Taylor is that option, and why you would consider trading Didi, because right now they're stacked in that infield.
Okay,
yeah,
so
you're not wrong.
I'm trying to keep scrolling through Twitter here. Nothing. I mean,
they'd be more stacked if they still had Bamboo Brad Miller.
You know what? It popped up on my Facebook memories last year of his grand slam home run.
Yeah.
Walk off against the Mets or whatever. Yeah. Boy, could we use a Brad Miller grand slam. Some of our games that we've seen so far.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Well, so there's another trade I want to talk about. I don't know why, and I've closed that out. But the other couple ones that have come out is the Castillo to Mariners trade is very interesting to me.
I mean, Seattle loves dealing guys to, Cincinnati loves dealing people to Seattle.
Yeah, Griffey.
Well, and Suarez and Winkler and
That trade intrigued me a little bit.
Now.
That trade intrigued me a little bit because it really wasn't talk of Seattle being that team to go after him. It was all about the Yankees going after him to shore up their starting pitching. And the fact that Seattle snuck in there and gave up what they gave for him tells me that they're in a position. They're in it right now to try and win.
Cincinnati will receive a player to be named later for a Tommy fan.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think hey, our Cincinnati fans are probably not watching the Stevens boys. They might as well just sell the entire franchise, trade it away, because nobody gives a crap about Cincinnati anymore.
Damn. Why don't you tell me how you really feel?
I had to throw a shade in there. But I mean, would you have guessed Castillo to the Mariners?
No, I was hoping long shot he'd go to Philly. But then, again, to Philly sitting here saying, we're not going to trade one of our top 6 guys. And they just promoted that Ben, what's his last name? Ben whoever, I can't think right now.
You talking the Phillies?
Yeah. Ben Brown?
Yeah, Ben Brown.
Ben Brown, they just promoted him to Double-A, so I highly doubt they're going to get rid of him. They're not dealing Painter. They're not dealing a better. The only one I could see them possibly parting with is O-Hop or O-Hoppy or O-Hope.
It's O-Hop. I can see O-Hop. I can see O-Hop go. The other one I can see going is Griff McGarry.
Griff. You can't get rid of a guy named Griff, though.
Oh, you can.
Depends on who it's for.
So, John, the Castillo moved to Seattle. I mean, I saw all along that it was going to be the Yankees, and Seattle snuck in there. I mean, what do you think? It's a smart move on Seattle, give that up what they did to get Castillo, or is this a risky move on their part?
It's always risky when you give up a lot, but you got to take gambles, and, I guess I'll even side with Tim a little bit historically. And I guess you kind of touched on it too, Matt, but like when you have these like familiarities between organizations, whether it be people in your scouting department that go somewhere, like you've had extensive conversations before, like don't be surprised when these other teams who are seemingly out of it come in at the very end and swoop in with something, but yeah, I like it. Honestly, I like it. I mean, I remember back the Mariners have been, it's nice to kind of see them back in contention a little bit again and making some noise, and they're in the wild card hunt for sure. Right? They're 500, I think, right?
Yeah, it's been 10 years since they've been in the playoffs, so them making that push for Castillo is pretty solid. But with them having Julio Rodriguez on the injured list right now,
they're 7 games over, and they have a half game on the wild card in the AL right now. So yeah, I knew they were there. So yeah, I mean, listen, any team that's within like 10 games of the wild card is going to be aggressive, especially if you're a team who's really in the hunt like the Mariners.
Who else could possibly be sellers here? I just realized this is the Marlins. They've said anyone is up for grabs, not named Alcantara.
Yeah.
So that means Pablo Lopez, who has like a sub, 2.5 ERA. That means Jazz. That means.
Or would they be willing to give up on Yuri Perez, or 19-year-old prospect?
No, they're not going to give up on a prospect. I think what they'll do is because if I was reading everything correctly, Lopez has like 3 more years of team control. He had more control than Castillo. So he could fetch a bigger return. So if the Marlins are looking to truly rebuild, they could ship this guy out. And that's why I was joking earlier. I said in our group text, maybe Philadelphia can screw over Miami in another trade for a guy that won't do anything for the return.
Well, so the one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Phillies is I really like the Souza trade, the utility infielder. I think that's solid. I think this is where the opportunity to be able to trade Didi comes into play now because they picked up Souza.
Okay, so here we go. This is at least something to go off of. In the Juan Soto trade talks, the Cardinals haven't been willing to include Dylan Carlson and their top prospects in the same offer. At least thus far, negotiations are reaching a critical point, and that's coming from Morosi.
See, we sit here, we're saying about the Soto deal, but like, I think Contreras has to come off the board next. If you're talking about a big trade, it's got to be Contreras at this point.
I think once Soto, either it's determined that if Soto goes, sorry, this camera keeps bugging off. But
Contreras has to go next. Like if there's anybody that goes, it's got to be Contreras.
I think everybody's waiting to see what happens with Soto.
I don't disagree, but if we're sitting here thinking like, okay, so obviously two of us think that Soto's not getting traded. So on the idea that Soto's not getting traded, Contreras
then things need to start happening. But until that point,
Contreras has to be the guy.
When does that happen? Are we talking about noon tomorrow for that to be the time? And then are we going to talk from like
I'm thinking
6 hours of just like mayhem?
Do you want to lose out on a Wilson Contreras because you're waiting on Soto to make a decision, like,
or you're waiting, or the Cubs are waiting, or it could be the Cubs are charging too much, so you're going to use leverage as to if Soto gets traded, you're going to use the leverage of, well, they got X, Y, and Z. Why do I need to give up this when this guy only got that? Like, they're going to play it. It's going to be leverage for one side or the other.
So Dan asked, how much is too much though? It depends. If you're talking about a generational talent like Soto, too much is not really.
It's hard, man. It's hard to say it's too much because you look back and he is what we think he's going to be 15 years from now, and who cares about that one prospect?
Who they thought they were.
Yeah, it's very hard to overpay when you look at it from that perspective. But like at the moment we're in right now,
but you're not going to overpay for Wilson Contreras though.
But the opportunity is still asking the arm and the leg. But
it's the Cubs. They're going to ask for everything because it's the Cubs.
It's like in the NBA. Rudy Gobert's at the market where they overpaid. They spent all these first round picks for Rudy Gobert, who's like, he's pretty good.
Thing, though, you have the benchmark. That's
exactly that's what I'm saying. But there's no benchmark yet, right? So it's like, how long do we hold? I mean, so like
Soto goes, there's the benchmark. If not, there's the benchmark.
But the problem is like,
what do you mean? So where's the benchmark if he doesn't go? Then what's the benchmark then?
The benchmark there is it's gonna be if Soto doesn't go. The benchmark is you cannot ask an arm and a leg in all of the farm because the Nationals are asking for the farm. The Cubs are probably in a situation too where for Contreras they're going to want at least a quarter or half of the farm. If Soto doesn't go for the farm, if you're going to use a trickle-down effect of, player A and player B are more comparable than players C and D, if Soto isn't worth the entire farm club, how can Contreras be worth a quarter? It goes down. His value is going down based off of Soto not being dealt for the entire system, if that makes any sense.
But there's also going to be teams that are desperate enough they need to make some type of move, so they probably are willing to overpay for Contreras, but they're not willing to pay enough for Soto.
But again, too, that kind of goes with Soto. If somebody is dumb enough and if somebody is desperate enough to meet these demands, then you've got it.
So here's my thing, though. And this isn't to cut you short on this, Tim, but like, there's 3 teams that are in the running for Soto. It's the Cardinals, the Dodgers, and the Padres, right?
Who else is in the running for Contreras?
From what we hear,
everybody at this point, anybody could be in the running for Contreras. But like, those 3, if they're thinking that they're gonna go all in on Soto, they're not willing to go in on Contreras at this point. And let's face it, Cardinals aren't giving. I mean, obviously, Yadier is going to be done at the end of the year. Retired, it is what it is. They're not going to trade their entire future for Wilson Contreras to sit on the bench right now because they're going to keep Molina in. The Padres aren't going to go after him because they're sold on the fact that they are going to try and get Soto. Like they're not willing. I don't think they are willing to go after Contreras at this point. And the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So you have all these other teams that are there that are in contention that could go after Contreras, like, that have no shot at going after Soto. Why are you sitting and waiting? Just pull the trigger. And I get it. Like, the Cubs are probably asking for this, and this. I understand it. I get it. The asking price for guys is outrageous and all this and all that. But if you're looking for that guy, like your future catcher, not saying he's a generational talent like Soto, pull the trigger on the trade. He's got to be the next piece that goes, because if Soto doesn't go, then what?
That's what I'm saying. It's
there's only 3 teams that are going after Soto.
The longer we get into this, the more the consolation prizes are going to become like relevant to the conversation. And at a certain point, and honestly, I do think that teams will overpay for guys like that before they'll sit and do nothing.
And my other thing to this too is like, okay, the asking what you're going to get for Soto. Okay, so let's face it, Soto's the asking price for him is so high that like if you're willing to do it, you're going to get it. You're going to give up a lot of prospects for it. That can't be the same asking price. You're not going to be able to get the same thing for Contreras. I know the Cubs think that they might be able to, but you're just not going to be able to do it. You can't. There's no way that it's going to happen. You're talking about 2 different ball players.
Same for Contreras. You're just using. I'm trying to figure out how I'm thinking of this and how I'm wording it are 2 different things.
No,
welcome to my brain.
I get what you're saying though, Tim. Like, if you're willing to give up 5 top prospects for Soto, are you going to be willing to give up 5 top prospects for Contreras? Like you're talking
No, because they're not the same player. I'm talking about if it's 5 for Soto, then you could sit there and argue 2 or 3 for Contreras. But if that doesn't happen, then Soto is still up here. Contreras is down here, even further away. Because if 5 can't get Soto done, you can't sit here and command 2 or 3 for Contreras.
I don't think you can demand 2 or 3 for Contreras, even if the Soto deal gets done or not. Like, you're talking about 2 different talents.
I just see 2 scenarios in which the guys outside of Soto probably go for more than they should. Either there's desperation because Soto doesn't go and something has to get done and they need to make some moves for the lot of teams that are in contention or have enough assets to get somebody like a Contreras or a Peterson as opposed to a Soto. Or if the Nationals get what they're asking for, that bumps the price up even higher, right? So I think in both situations, you probably get they're not second tier guys, but the guys that are not the crown jewel of the deadline, you're probably going to go for more than we expect at this point.
So I just read a thing here on Twitter. The San Diego Padres are being very, very aggressive and trying to acquire Chicago catcher Wilson Contreras, per Ben Nightingale on Unfiltered NBC. Now this is
that would involve Austin Nola
Bob
going
Nightingale.
Back.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. They're not going to be willing to give up a number 1 prospect for a guy who's a rental for a year.
Well, I'm just saying, the Austin Nola just as a catcher going back too. To replace, that would be the guy going back, plus probably a lower or mid-tier prospect. As a base, as a starting base.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Contreras has to be the next piece that goes. I'm sorry, my opinion. I think
logistically, should it be? Yes, but I think everyone's waiting for Soto, and then
I get it. It's not going to happen, but. And realistically, Contreras should be the next trade. It should be.
Okay, so Soto's in the lineup tonight, right? So nothing's going to happen imminently. You wouldn't think. Maybe, I don't know. Who's to say? That's kind of a bad indicator anymore. But at what point, if Soto isn't traded yet, do things officially get into the wild season? Are we talking noon? Are we talking 3? Are we talking 4? How late in the process do we go where people are waiting for this shoe to drop? And if the shoe doesn't drop,
8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Really? So you think if by 8, if he's still around at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, then he's not going?
I don't think he's going. If we're going into 8 a.m. or noon tomorrow, deadline's what, 4?
It's 6
or 3. Oh, it's 6. I thought it was earlier.
I'm almost positive it's 6. Check me out, but I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was 6 o'clock as well. But see, that's my thing though. Right now, it's okay. At what point do the Nationals say, okay, that's it? We're not taking any more offers. This is it. At what point do you make that decision? Because we can sit here and say all these what ifs or what we think or whatever. Until it happens, But
so yeah, I have my asking price. And I'm not moving off my asking price, but I'll take phone calls until 5:59 or whatever it takes. You know what I mean? But as a Nationals, what's my incentive to drop the asking price? Do you think Soto's going to become less valuable after the deadline?
No, because he's essentially going to be a free agent,
which is diminishing his trade return.
I think what the Nationals are trying to do is they know they're going to lose him in the offseason. It is what it is. You're going to lose him. let's get what we can for him now. But the problem is like
leave it to the Nationals to screw this up even more.
The Nationals don't want to budge. Like that's their problem. They don't want to budge. Like
I can't blame them.
I can't either. I mean, if you're going to lose out on Soto, you're going to want top-notch return. I mean, they lost out. Let's face it. They lost out on Harper. Okay, Harper walked and didn't want to come back. So you lost out on that talent. Now you're going to lose out on Soto. Let's try and get something in return. If they don't get anything in return, then what? I mean, obviously, Robles is going to go. I think we all agree that if Soto goes, Robles is not. He's not going to stick around. He's going to want traded. He's going to want out.
Yeah, but Robles hasn't really been the answer there. Like he's only hitting like 230 something this year.
No, he hasn't. But he has nobody there with him anymore. Like what? Why would you want to stick around?
Why? I mean, if that's the case, then too, if you're Nelson Cruz or Franco or Hernandez, like who would want to go there?
So Soto's not a free agent until 25. So
technically
he's not a free agent until 25.
Yeah,
but but it's the arbitration stuff that he'll be able to walk because of arbitration.
No, because
they can buy him. Because he's technically has a 1 year, $17.1 million contract till he hits arbitration, and if they can always buy him out before 2025 if arbitration doesn't go their way.
But arbitration is also coming in with what the player values themselves as versus what the club is. They're still under team control. It's just the player 25. Trying to argue. Yeah, he's not going to hit free agency until 25, no matter what.
Exactly. So that was my point.
That's his value.
You can afford to not trade him. That's your team leverage.
But in the off, he's going to be gone in the off season. He's going to be gone in the off season. Like
when they trade him in the off season, he can't just walk.
Yeah, he can't walk till 25. So I don't know what leverage he has. Like he's going to just stop playing for them and hold out.
The only leverage Soto has is to just not play for the Nationals.
Exactly.
And force them to trade him. That's the only leverage Soto has. Now he could, because the Nationals, the idea for the Nationals right now is to trade him while his value is hot, the control is there, they can get the return, and they don't have to pay him in arbitration because he's going to cost a lot in arbitration. And that's something you want to avoid when you're a rebuilding team. You don't want to have your money tied up into one guy. That's where the arbitration issue comes in. He can't walk in arbitration. If guys could walk in arbitration, then free agency would just be absurd. Judge would have already been a free agent.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you're reading here, they can exercise his last couple of years, essentially. And that would avoid some sort of arbitration. That's how I'm reading this.
Well, I mean, they can re-sign him, and then they'll take over those years of arbitration. Yeah, absolutely. If they reach the contract extension, but he's not going to be able to pick who he signs with without something else happening until 2025. Yeah, so you have 2.5 more years.
The only reason Soto could hit the market is if the Nationals DFA him.
Exactly. And it's not at the point now where it's either trade him now or get nothing for him. You still have 2.5 years of team control where you can figure out a way to get something for him. So if you're convinced as the Nationals you have to get back something worth a king's ransom, then you can hold out and your back isn't up against a wall. Like you made it seem like he would just walk next year and they get nothing for him. That's not the case.
Well, he could essentially walk by saying, fuck you.
No, he can't essentially walk.
Listen.
No, he's saying what he can do is he could force the hand.
He could essentially say,
he cannot literally walk out.
I just won't play. You can pay me, and I just won't play.
No, they won't pay him.
That's a pretty difficult precedent right there. I would hate to see that, honestly.
But I'm saying he could.
He could.
He could essentially say, like, I'll do this, shove it, and I just won't play. That's it.
How likely is that, Tim?
Arbitration.
How likely is that, Tim?
I mean,
if he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there.
But he can't do anything. The only thing he can do is just sit out and then cost himself money.
Yeah, I don't see him doing that.
Somebody is going to be willing to pay him the money, whether he sits
out
or not.
It's not his decision, though. He still has to get traded in order to go somewhere else. Somebody will pay him, of course.
When he goes somewhere, he's going to get paid, whether he sits out or not.
That's the thing. He's trying. Soto, holy shit, this broke down. Soto is trying to force the Nationals' hand into a trade. The Nationals have all the control. the reason why Soto's value is so high right now is because he has 2.5 years left of team control. The team control being gold. It's worth its weight in gold.
And lots of prospects.
Well, in the return. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yes, that's my point. Is that's why they can.
So the Nationals can theoretically wait until the offseason to try to trade him again at, like, say, the winter meetings, where they can still hold a ransom, but they can't hold a ransom like they're trying to hold now. For the next year or so, if Soto doesn't get dealt, it's going to be drama upon drama in DC. He can't go anywhere. His only option is to just sit out if that's the case, and that's not going to happen.
I mean,
that's my point.
Because then if he sits out, he's also hurting his own value.
But as we agreed earlier, Matt, the Nationals can just sit on their hands, and if they don't get what they want to, that's not the end of the road for them. It's a long play, and it's a gamble for sure. But like Soto can't force them, or like their asking price is not going to drop significantly just at this deadline. It does not have to.
So, hold on. It says Soto's under team control through 2024, but Rosenthal reported the Nationals plan to entertain trade offers for him leading up to August 2nd. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what I want to get to on that, though, is like, okay, so let's say, hypothetically, he gives them the old FU and is like, yeah, you know what?
So the NFL sit-out option.
Goes to arbitration. He
That's
can still
fine.
make. He can essentially make more money. He could make essentially more money in arbitration for the last 2 years for him to sit on his ass. Like, oh, you know what?
Arbitration.
He won't get paid if he doesn't play.
No, but the point is it's a value of what he views himself as versus what the club has. Now he does have to play, but if he plays like ass, then he's going to hurt himself money there.
It's an independent arbitrator who basically comes to an agreement or comes to a conclusion based on what the player and the team want to do, and they negotiate along the way too. But he's not going to get paid the money to sit out.
Not necessarily sit out. I'm not saying essentially sit out, but I'm just saying he could literally just like kind of what Tim said, be ass, but still be enough that you know what? I can still get paid if I just do the bare minimum.
But is that going to help you out in your next contract, though? Like if you're playing for your next contract, right? I don't get that.
He could.
It's not going to help. It's not going to help.
He can still screw. That's not going to help. Screw the Nationals some way or another.
There's a lot of ways in an unprecedented manner in which this could go off the rails even more. Point being, and we agreed on this, Matt, earlier, that the Nationals aren't in a position where they have to move him at this deadline. They have the leverage still. They have the leverage still. It's a gamble. The longer you wait, the less
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying,
kind of. You are.
I'm saying essentially, if he really wanted to, he could. Whether he gets traded or not, he could sit here. He could really screw the Nationals if he really wanted to. If he doesn't want to be there, I'm just saying, like he really could. If he really wanted to, he could essentially be like, okay, well, these last 2 years, screw off. Like
it'd be mutually assured destruction because then he would be hurting his own contract value when he does actually get out of there or whatever it might be.
I mean, if he gets out of that, no matter what, he goes to another team though, and whether they pay him or not, and he goes out like the first 1 or 2 years of his contract is Juan Soto of old, like, oh, hey, guess what? Here's $440 million that the Nationals offered you.
But why put that off for 6 more years if you can take the contract for $40 million for 3 or 4 years? Or I guess not. But I mean, so why not take the 6 or 7 year deal that the Nats are going to give you now if your plan is to play that long game anyways?
He doesn't want to be there. Dude, at this point, nobody wants to be in Washington. I don't even think the fans want to be in Washington.
I have a theoretical
they're talking about Washington being like relocated again.
I have a theoretical trade here. Juan Soto gets traded for 3 Klondike Choco Tacos.
Ooh. Bring back the Choco Tacos, man.
How about a LeBron James rookie card? Same value.
Yeah, was that made in China?
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of what ifs with all this, but I still think
we get a Choco Taco.
I mean, we could. I don't know.
I'm just trying to be devil's advocate a little bit here. Like I agree with you 100%. I don't think Soto's getting traded, but to be devil's advocate here, like he could really screw Washington if he really wanted to. He could really blow this all up.
He would have to screw himself to screw Washington.
And another reason I think this trade eventually gets done is so we avoid all of this.
Eventually, but not by the deadline.
It's not going to happen.
I want to get rid of it sooner rather than later.
So the Nationals are going to be taking a gamble but like they still have the leverage. I mean, so
the Nationals have a leverage of what they want to get. It's just a matter of our team's going to call the Nationals bluff. How much do the Nationals want to deal with the potential arbitration BS?
I mean, I didn't realize how bad the Nationals have tanked to the point that they are now the worst team in baseball. It's just
they got 38 wins this year or something like that.
35.
35, even worse.
So they're worse than the Reds.
They're worse than the Oakland Athletics right now. The Reds aren't even worse. The Reds aren't even the worst team in their division.
Let's be honest right now. What kind of farm system do the Nationals have? They're pretty empty there too. None, right?
Trace can give us a first-hand account of what the national system has.
Oh, dude.
You really got to you got to refill your coffers with this Soto thing. And maybe Robles too. Like if you're really playing in that way, if you're playing the process, like you're not going to get anything close to what Soto is going to get. But I mean, you get enough to try and field a competitive team before 2050. I mean,
what about talk about a team that has really turned the tables and being garbage. Win the World Series and have tanked since.
Hey, life comes at you quick, man. I'll tell you what.
Like I said, it's more so as being devil's advocate on that. But my thing is too now is I still stand by my statement though that Wilson Contreras has to be the next piece that goes. Whether Soto is being traded or not, Contreras, if you're making a move for Contreras, it has to be now. I mean, you can't. We can sit here and say Soto's getting traded. He's not getting traded. You can't depend on the fact that he is going to be traded or not. Contreras, if you want Contreras, you got to get him now. I'd hate to lose out on him and then Soto not the Nationals not wanting to trade Soto, then he just lost out on Contreras. If you want him, you got to get him now. I think that's the next piece that has to go. But that's just me.
Here's a bit of a
and Contreras is going to be a package. I think Contreras is going to be a package deal. It's either going to be Robertson or Givens is going to go. I don't think Happ gets traded with Contreras. It's going to be Givens or Robertson's going to get traded with him.
So, going off of back to the Tommy Pham thing, do you think, because we were questioned before, is why would they go get Tommy Pham? This makes no sense. It just clicked. They're going to try to trade JD Martinez.
I mean, I didn't really question them getting Tommy Pham. I questioned the Christian Vasquez trade.
But we were all sitting here why would the Red Sox go after Tommy Pham? What does Tommy Pham have to do with anything?
I didn't really have an opinion on the Tommy Pham trade. It was more so
Tommy Pham sucks.
Yeah, I didn't really have my opinion was, why would you trade Christian Vasquez?
Why would you slap Jock Peterson as a grown man over a fantasy thing?
Will Smith
if I'm a major league team, after I heard his comments after he did that, trying to justify it, I would be out on him forever. I would never want to see him play another major league game. That was just the most egregiously insane justification for an egregiously insane move in the first place. And for him his mind to work that way, to say those things and try and make that point, blows my mind.
The slap absolutely blows the world.
I'm out on him as a person forever after that.
I mean, him and Will Smith should have a slap off.
Yeah,
slap harder.
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude.
Slap hands.
I don't know. I mean,
with that being said, I want the Phillies to bring in Jock Peterson. I am a Jock Peterson stan account as of right now.
So you want Kyle Schwarber 2.0 on the team is what you're saying?
Let's bring him in, baby. Let's go.
No, I don't need any more strikeouts, please.
Oh, you're going to get plenty of strikeouts.
Well, dude, I mean, you can't hit on Schwarbs now. I mean, let's be honest. Who won that one? Tim won that one. Arbitration. I'm going to say it right now. Schwarbs is, since you guys had that conversation, come on. You can't say Schwarbs has not proved himself.
I mean, I would like to see more of an effort instead of leaving.
Oh my god!
If you're gonna strike out, at least strike out swinging, dude. He stands out with your pitches.
Let's talk numbers. Let's talk home runs. Let's talk NL leaders. Let's not talk. I mean, well, he could always do more. He could always do more. Oh my!
Let's replace the Lauren Hart statue with a Schwarber.
He could hit 700 and have 75 home runs right now, and you wouldn't say that you lost that. That you lost that. Yeah, I was with you too. I was not a big fan of him at that point in time, but I got to say.
I'm not sitting here saying I hate Schwarber. It's just like.
My only argument and my only point, if you have to complain about one of these players, Kyle Schwarber or Castianos, if you're picking Kyle Schwarber, you're a damn fool because he's doing exactly what he was paid to do. Castianos, on the other hand, was paid to be a 280 to 290 hitter, hit 30 home runs, and drive in 120 or more. He is hitting 250 with 10 home runs and maybe 40 RBI.
Nobody's brought in this to be a strikeout machine.
But he's also a home run machine, which is what he is.
I really hope Patrick is not serious about the Phillies trading for Gallo. I really hope that. I don't.
Actually, you know what, though? In terms of pure defense, yeah, Gallo's a great defender. Gallo is actually a very good defender.
I'll take Jackie Bradley Jr. over Gallo.
I mean, you're going to get the same offensive production.
That's fine. I'll give up less for Bradley Jr. than I would for Gallo, right? You got to think that, right?
What Gallo?
The package to get Bradley Jr. versus Gallo has got to be like.
I think the package. No, I think the package to get Gallo right now is a bucket of balls and maybe a Double Herrera.
Yeah, it can't be much.
It's like a used washing machine.
Listen, the one deal I would take Gallo for Herrera straight up and be done with the Double.
Oh,
I'll take that every day. Fine, sign me up for that
one. Straight exchange of the contracts.
Yeah, don't expect anything else beyond that though.
For the record,
hold up. Go to this next comment. Next comment. I will take that 0.68 batting average. If you want to hate somebody more than Kyle Schwarber, we can bring in another guy who you should really hate.
For the record, if we're gonna go on the Castianos Schwarber conversation, Castianos is on pace for his season averages throughout his entire career. He's only bat over 300 twice in his entire career.
Which is why I said he was expected to be a 280 to 290 hitter.
He's at 257 right now, so he's not far off.
His
career average is 276, so he's not that far underneath his average.
Okay, so we're talking 250 something. He's a career 270 what hitter?
276.
What's Kyle Schwarber's career batting average?
I don't know. I don't have a shrine set up of him. Timothy.
Probably 220 something.
No.
So we're talking about both of them being 20 points off their average.
Career average for Kyle Schwarber is 232.
Okay, so he's
at
205, 204.
28 points.
Okay, guess what? Both of them are still 20 some odd points away from their freaking career averages. Oh. So why are you complaining about the guy who's literally doing his one job that he's supposed to
strike
do?
Out?
And lead the entire league in home runs?
He's not leading the entire league. He's only
the NL. I think
he's leading the entire NL in home runs, buddy.
Yeah,
that's just that's the National League. That's not the whole.
He said the league, the National League.
The major leagues is the entire league. The National League is.
I know what he meant. He meant the National League. We do things a lot of that in baseball, Matt. In case you didn't know, we break things down with NL and AL a lot.
You know what? I'm all in right now. I want to trade Matt Vierling and Odubel Herrera for Joey Gallo to be the everyday center fielder. He can hit third.
So just trade Kyle Schwarber for Joey Gallo. It's just
nope, because Kyle Schwarber actually has value.
Joey Gallo actually has defense.
I'll take the value.
This is officially off the rails, I would say, at this point.
Well, either way, yeah. Tomorrow, what time is the actual? I believe
6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern time, I believe.
Just double check to make sure. 6 p.m. Eastern, you are correct. After that point, teams will no longer be able to execute deals until the offseason. So, could be an interesting next, 22 hours in baseball, 21 and a half hours in baseball.
Yeah, it's kind of died down right now. So I guarantee you, as soon as we decide to get off here, yeah, shut up, Patrick. You're supposed to have
See, Patrick agrees with me. He's not the leader of the entire league.
You could also ask Patrick, too, if he was going to start a franchise around Soto or Judge.
He's going to choose Judge because he's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, he's also
maybe he picked Soto. You don't know.
Patrick, answer that question. If you were to start a franchise around anybody, would you take 23-year-old Juan Soto right now or 30-year-old Aaron Judge?
Patrick is going to troll us no matter what. So the answer is probably going to be a troll job.
Okay. Well,
okay.
That doesn't answer the question.
That's factually correct.
Okay, so the question is...
I think what he's saying is it's so obvious that the 23-year-old is he would take over the 30-year-old. I think it's... Oh, hold on a second.
Oh, he's dropping bombs over here.
See? This is why you ask the question, because not all fans are stereotypical, give me my guy.
Wow, Patrick's correct. Congratulations, Patrick.
Convince your brother the same thing, please.
I'll take Judge.
Oh, my God.
Now I think Tim's just trolling us because, I mean, come on.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
You can't be serious about that.
Maybe I am. What if I am? What are you going to do?
All right. One of these days, we'll put a poll up there, and we'll take our 11 Twitter followers and see
11
what they
Twitter
think.
followers with 3 of them sitting
You know what?
here.
After we're done with this show, I'll put a poll up on Facebook page who you would put your franchise around.
There you go.
So,
and
we'll end with some final thoughts here. Let me get some stuff up here. There we go. If he wins the National League MVP, I am no longer a Phillies fan.
Great.
Oh,
great.
Sorry, we got 10 followers. So,
hey. Well, if this were Price is Right, you would lose. So,
we'll start here with Tim. Final thoughts.
I want this deadline to start heating back up. I was kind of hoping we get some big trades going down, but we only got a few here. One last refresh of Twitter, and nothing. Bunch of nothing. So hopefully the deadline heats up there a little bit. Let's see some deals get swung and Juan Soto be a Padre.
Jonathan.
I still think Soto does not get traded. I do think that the closer we get to noon tomorrow and after that, if there's no Soto deal, I feel like teams move on the assumption that there will not be a Soto deal. And then the consolation sweepstakes are going to get really hot. And I believe there will probably be a seller's market at that point where people are going to be overpaying for the consolation guys outside of Soto.
I think Contreras gets traded before Soto does, but I'm going to stand by that. I still think it's going to happen.
Dark horse trade last minute probably be Rodon.
Yeah.
I think Tim's right on that too.
And I think Ian Happ.
Ian Happ's should be.
Ian Happ's going to get traded too. There's a lot of interest in him, but I think Contreras gets traded before Soto does. And my buyer is still the Yankees as being the best buyer in the trade market this year, and I think that will help them go for a 28th World Series. Now, I know. I mean, I picked the Astros at the beginning of the year, but they're doing the right things right now. So, but with that, thank you, everybody who has tuned in. Thank you to everybody who does tune in, shares us, like our sponsors. Check them out. Check out all of our other blogs. Dukes of Football, I think, are legitimately back this week. They are going to have a lot to talk about, considering that it's spring training or spring training camp. We got the Deshaun Watson.
Juan Soto just went yard.
I'm not surprised. So check out the Dukes on Wednesday. I don't think
you might be seeing a little bit of crossover in the network at some point potentially.
Yeah,
we're
gonna we have had some discussions here today about some crossovers. Super Kicking It with Steven is back on Sunday, and I believe we will be back with the Racing Podcast next week. We took 2 weeks off. I think we'll be back next week. Maybe we'll have a surprise show tomorrow. Who knows? From all of us here at BW Sports 1, for John.
Give us a follow on the Twitter if we double our followers. Tim will do something crazy next week.
Yeah. Maybe Tim will paint the Philly fanatic on himself.
It'll be something crazy. All right.
Yeah, we'll do something crazy.
We're done.
Anyways,
done.
Have a good evening, and we will see you all hopefully soon.